Welcome to Live with Greg, or Live with Greg, depending on semantics.
All right, here I am. What time is it? 9 o'clock. So I'm 3 hours out from needing to have an episode of Live with Greg. And this is I have done another one that was just myself. I was back in the early days when I was a video podcast primarily. And I was waiting for a friend and he never showed up. So I don't know what episode this is. And we're going to give this a shot. We're going to see how vulnerable I could be. That's a key word in today's growth mind. Vulnerable, to be vulnerable. Yeah, and transparent, vulnerable and transparent. So we're going to see, can I be vulnerable and transparent in this episode of Live with Greg? All right. So I was graced with the opportunity to join a film production last week, a week ago Sunday. I don't know what day that was. And I packed up and did a lot of work to get everything cleared out for the week and ran over to Dixon, which is right near Davis, which is right near Sacramento in Northern California, and joined this production, jumped right into the middle of a raging forest fire and just busted ass to keep production flowing as well as possible. And had a blast, except for my birthday. That was a fucking miserable day. And one thing that's apparent in this podcast, you're going to find out that I swear a lot. So there you go. It was awesome. I loved it, except for my birthday. That was miserable. But all the other days were awesome. And you know what helped me on that day, because there were a lot of things that helped me, but partly what helped me is remembering to be gracious and grateful for this gift that was given to me to join this production and the role that I love. I love making movies. I love being a part of that. And I was graced with, I guess, what in essence is a producer or a co-producer, and helping people do their work on the production. All right. So I'm fucking tired. It's still, today's Thursday and I got home yesterday and got like a first night's pretty good sleep in over a week. All right. So, God, this topic, I don't want to go to this topic, but I'm going to. Yeah. So what, about 8 years ago or so, maybe more, I got divorced, and I had put a lot into that relationship for its meaning for me, that it was proof of God, kind of, proof that love exists on this planet. And in hindsight, I put those parameters to the relationship, and that's not what it was. It ended. And there's an element of grace to endings, accepting endings. I guess that's the grace, accepting endings. And brutally dark for a while for me, a lot of emotional pain. And I think there's a cleansing that's so interesting, that the pain we experience is because of the things and meanings we've attached to things outside of ourselves. And things isn't quite fair in this instance, because that's a human being. But, whatever. Sue me. So, there's that. And I feel like I'm in a healthy place. Like, I got to say, this last week of production was a wonderful fire that just burned so much away that I was attempting to burn. I'd been like slogging through life wondering how come my engines just won't start. It was like just, just on and on and on. And this production, bam, those engines kicked into gear. So now I'm going to do what I can to keep that momentum going. One of the things that came to me is on TikTok. It has this thing where it gives you weekly stats for, time spent on TikTok compared to a previous week. And this last week, it said you spent 1.3 hours, which is 83% less than last week. And I was like, okay. I was happier than I've been in a long time and didn't have time to be on social media. So that's one of the little takeaways from the experience. We'll see how long it lasts, like all drinkers and druggers and people who have addiction things in their life. There's a propensity to go, I quit social media. And then 2 months from now, you'll see, yeah. So, we'll see how that goes. However, I do have in the ingredient of change the knowledge that when I'm on social media for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, my life hasn't progressed at all in that 2 hours. At the end of that 2 hours, I'm actually worse off because I haven't put energy into things that I really love. And I haven't, I've just, so we'll see. I still think there's an element of social media for promotion. Like this episode will be promoted on social media. So all 6 followers, will know that this episode is out. But other than that, and communication, there's a couple friends that I communicate with through social media. So other than that, and let me see if I can figure out another other than that to throw in there until I finally am dragged back to chaining myself to social media. Because isn't that the way? One of my favorite films or pieces of the film is Devil's Advocate. Is that what it was? With Keanu Reeves and what's his name? Scarface guy. I just forgot his name because I'm old. I'm old and in the way. Anyway, that's it. Jerry Lee Lewis. Yeah. Keanu Reeves and Jerry Lee Lewis in Devil's Advocate. And at the end, Keanu's just gone through hell, his whole life ruined. He's finally bummed, like it all didn't happen. He's back at the beginning. He goes into the restroom at this courtroom and the devil's there, disguised as something else, and just ropes him right back into it right in the beginning. The devil turns to the camera. That's one of my favorite things about humanity. Their vanity or something like that. Anyway, the point being, it's so easy for one to trip oneself up yet again, So there you go. There's that. And I have 3 wonderful children in my life and a lot of great friends and had a wonderful experience in this production, which tells me that I love making movies. I love being in front of the camera. I love being behind the camera. I just love the whole thing, except when I'm hauling trash and junk through the slog of corn syrup and chaos and madness in roaring heat all day on my birthday. That I don't like. I can tell you that from experience. Are you guys still listening? This is a crazy episode. What else? God, God, Jesus, the Lord, love. Yeah, there's one of my friends, and he's a co-host of another podcast, Moped Outlaws, that we do together. And I forget what he calls it. Radical responsibility, I think, something like that. And it's stating that a person is 100% responsible for everything about their life, their emotions, where they are in life. So if I'm triggered, it's my responsibility for that. Like if someone hits me, I don't know, that's kind of extreme, but I like extreme examples. If someone hits me, then my reaction to that is my responsibility. It has nothing to do with them. And I'm going to hear a lot of arguments, but there's a Zen story. One of my favorite Zen stories about that is that there was this samurai back in the old days when I was a wee lad. I don't know why I'm talking like that with this Zen story, but anyway, this samurai was a madman, just a raging maniac, would go to towns just raping and pillaging and killing, blood, slaughter, madness. Roar! And he's heading towards this one town that happened to have a monastery on the premises of the town up on this hill. And the townspeople got wind, as one would say. Got wind can refer to so many things. It could refer to flatulence. In this case, it refers to the communication connection that people have. So they got wind that this samurai was heading towards their town. And so they went up to the monastery to warn the monks that were living there, and they all evacuated, the townspeople and all the monks evacuated, except for this one lone monk. And he went and he sat down in the middle of the dirt road right in the center of town. And he's just sitting there. And this samurai came raging into town with his horse, sparks flying from the hoofs, dust and sweat just flying around him like a whirlwind, like some Looney Tunes banshee. And he roars up to the monk and he jumps off the horse and he goes, "Don't you know who I am? I could run this sword right through you and not bat an eye." And the monk looked at him calmly and said, "Don't you know who I am? You could run that sword through me and I wouldn't bat an eye."